request attached. The hours stretch without expectation. She notices how undemanding this feels. The lack of instruction, the absence of obligation. Nothing scheduled, nothing implied. The day doesn't lean forward, asking to be used. It rests as if availability were enough. The cup empties slowly, without importance, without urgency, just following gravity and habit. The dog walks calmly, unconcerned with productivity, trusting that movement alone is participation. Not every hour needs to produce to be valid. The afternoon doesn't ask anything from her. Groove pop steady, gentler. No task assigned, no future outlined. The afternoon exists and lets her do the same. She thinks about how rare it is for time to feel neutral, not demanding progress, not threaten loss. This neutrality feels generous, like borrowed space that doesn't need to be returned. The rhythm underneath stays warm, not persuasive, not leading, just present enough to support duration. Her posture remains easy, because nothing is expected from her performance or attention. Time behaves differently when it doesn't demand proof. Nothing is required of this moment. Groove pop calm component, no checklist form, no meaning storm. The afternoon doesn't ask and she accepts. The dog paws and resumes, unaware of time passing, unconcerned with you. She notices how functional that simplicity is, how reliable it feels to move without measuring value. The street continues without announcement, without reaction, and she moves inside it comfortably. Undemanding hours, even rhythm. Bass repeats patiently, keys remain open. Drums sit back, no emphasis, no closure, just length. The groove allows time to pass. Yeah, she feels no urge to rush the end of the afternoon, or stretch it artificially. It holds itself without her involvement. She realizes how much effort usually went into negotiating time, into shaping it, into making it justify itself. This time does none of that, and that feels stable. Some relief comes from time not needing you. You don't disappear when nothing asks for you. You settle. Hours don't need purpose to pass, they need permission. Letting time be neutral is a form of rest. The afternoon stays open and kind. Groove pop steady, online, no demand placed, no value traced. The afternoon doesn't ask and she remains. Time continues unclaimed. She continues inside it at ease. The pace holds without needing a name. Steps land before language catches up. No label forms and the ground doesn't require one. Footfalls repeat at a workable interval. Not slow, not quick, just consistent enough to trust. The cup shifts slightly with each movement, liquor responding to motion. Without spilling, without being controlled. Breath finds its own length, inhale arrives, exhale leaves, no instruction involved. The street opens forward, not inviting, not resisting, simply available. When naming stops, function continues. The pace holds without needing a name. Groove pop steady the same, no definition, pin no meaning assigned. The pace holds and carries everything inside. Thoughts appear as fragments, then lose priority. Because balance requires attention, not commentary. Distance unfolds gradually, corner after corner, without prediction, without urgency. Oh, the sound underneath stays dry and centered, bass repeating a dependable figure. Keys leaving space instead of filling it. Drums staying behind the moment, letting time stretch. Movement doesn't wait for explanation. Steps continue without clarification. Groove pop calm, orientation. No concept build, no idea guild. Steps continue and that's sufficient. Posture adjusts on its own, weight redistributes, muscles release without instruction from thought. The body recognizes familiarity, not memory, not habit. Something quieter, something practiced. Ooh, the environment doesn't react, which allows focus to widen instead of narrowing. Even spacing, consistent return. Bass cycles patiently, keys hover and withdraw, drums remain minimal. No ascent, no descent, just extension. The groove sustains without asking why. Awareness settles into the background, not absent, not sharp, just present enough to guide balance. No attempt is made to elevate the experience or reduce it. The moment remains usable, exactly as it is. Some stability exists before interpretation. You don't create it, you notice it after you stop interfering. Pace isn't decided, it's discovered through repetition. The moment remains usable exactly as it is. Some stability exists before interpretation. You don't create it, you notice it after you stop interfering. Ooh, pace isn't decided, it's discovered through repetition. Stays workable and wide. Groove pop steady inside. No title earned, no lesson learned. The pace stays and supports the day. Steps continue, sound continues, balance remains without explanation. There's no comparison forming, no reference point pulled up. The thought of later doesn't hurry her. She notices a mid-step, that familiar tension is absent. The quiet pressure that usually says you should be further along. Today that voice doesn't appear, or maybe it does, and she doesn't answer. Her body keeps a natural rhythm, uninterrupted by evaluation. The pace feels honest, because it isn't borrowed. The cup rests easily, not as comfort as continuity. Something that belongs in the hand right now. Progress isn't always forward. Sometimes it's not being pulled back. She doesn't feel behind for once. Groove pop, steady balance. No measuring tape, no race imagined. She doesn't feel behind and stays where she is. Ooh. She remembers how often she checked her position against invisible timelines, against people not present. Those comparisons don't surface now, they feel irrelevant, like old data that doesn't apply anymore. The rhythm under supports that no acceleration, no drag, just a consistent middle that doesn't imply lack. Her breathing settles because nothing is chasing her, and she isn't chasing anything. Being on time isn't always about clocks. She walks without calculating delay. Groove, pop, calm, okay. No future pull, no past recall. She doesn't feel behind today, and nothing argues. The dog slows briefly, then continues, unaware of sequence or expectation. She follows, recognizing something familiar. That movement doesn't care about milestones. The street remains unchanged, indifferent, which makes it easier to stay present without comparison. She feels aligned, not accomplished, and that feels sustainable. Unmeasured pace, even line, bass cycle steadily, key stay minimal, drums remain grounded. No rush, no lag, just motion. The groove refuses urgency and holds center. She realizes how rarely she allows herself to be exactly where she is without apology. This moment doesn't ask for one, it just holds. The absence of comparison feels like relief, not as emotion as function. She keeps walking without checking position, and nothing falls apart. Some freedom arrives when timelines dissolve. You don't disappear when you stop comparing. You consolidate. Being behind is a story, not a state. When you stop telling it, the body relaxes and continues. She doesn't feel behind anymore. Groove, pop, steady, sure. No clock consulted, no path jolted. She doesn't feel behind, and lets that be true. And the walk continues unranked. She remains in place without deficit. She feels present without trying to be. Nothing cues awareness, no reminder arrives. Presence happens before intention notices. She doesn't concentrate on the moment. She doesn't center herself. She simply arrives and stays. There's no effortful grounding, no deliberate breath. The body settles because nothing is pulling it apart. The cup rests naturally in her hand, not symbolic, just functional. An object doing its job without commentary. The dog keeps moving, attentive but relaxed, as if presence were a default state, not a practice. Being here doesn't always require effort. Sometimes it's what remains when effort steps away. She feels present without trying to be. Groove pop steady, effortlessly, no focus strain, no mind restraint. She feels present because nothing is asking her elsewhere. Thoughts still pass through, but they don't claim ownership. But they don't build arguments, they don't demand follow-up. She notices them the way you notice passing sound. Acknowledged, then release the rhythm underneath. Stay soft, not meditated, not dramatic, just consistent enough to exist alongside. Her breathing aligns without instruction, as if the body knows what to do with unoccupied time. Presence isn't something you reach, it's something you stop leaving. She walks fully here, unforced, groove pop calm, endorsed, no practice applied, no state verified. She feels present and keeps moving. She remembers how often she tried to arrive through technique, through intention, the correction. And this moment contradicts that effort by happening naturally, without instruction, without success criteria. The day doesn't feel heightened, it feels stable, like something functioning properly, instead of something being optimized. The dog pauses briefly, then resumes. No awareness of being present, just presence. Unpracticed awareness, even tone, bass cycles gently, keys leave white space. Drums sit low and consistent. No cue, no build, just continuation. The groove doesn't ask for attention, it receives it. She feels less pressure to capture this state, to name it, to return to it later. Because it doesn't feel rare, it feels available. She realizes that presence isn't fragile. It doesn't disappear when you stop monitoring it. It stays as long as nothing displaces it. Some states aren't achieved, they're uncovered. They exist beneath effort, beneath striving, beneath explanation. Presence doesn't require maintenance, it requires space. You don't hold it, you stop pushing it away. She feels present without any plan. Groove pop steady as she can. No effort stage, no moment cage. She feels present and lets it stay unclaimed. The steps continue, the day continues. She remains fully here without trying. Nothing needs her opinion right now. The world continues without asking what she thinks about it. She notices the relief first, not having to react, not having to assist, not having to position herself. Everything around her exists without commentary, and she realizes how rarely that happens. The cup, the leash, the street, none of them require interpretation. They function without feedback. The dog doesn't wait for approval, it walks confident in movement alone. Opinion isn't always contribution, sometimes it's noise. Nothing needs her opinion right now. Groove pop steady and loud, no stance declared, no judgment prepared. Nothing needs her response, and she rests. She remembers how often she carried reactions to things that didn't ask for them. How exhausting it felt to always have a take, to always be ready to explain herself. This moment removes that obligation, without confrontation, without effort. The rhythm underneath stays neutral, not validating, not challenging, just present. Silence can be cooperative, not passive. She walks without forming a view. Groove pop calm true, no conclusion drawn, no side chosen. Nothing needs her opinion, and that's fine. The dog adjusts direction slightly based on instinct, not analysis. She follows, not as agreement, as alignment. Her mind stays open, not vacant, just unoccupied by unnecessary evaluation. The city becomes texture, movement becomes background, and she stays central, without effort. Uncommented reality, even flow. Bass repeats patiently, keys leave wide margins. Drums remain understated, no emphasis, no reaction, just duration. The groove doesn't argue, it holds. She realizes how much energy she regains by not responding. Not everything deserves a reaction, or an opinion, or a position. Some moments just need presence and permission to exist without commentary. You don't disappear when you stop reacting, you consolidate. Opinion is optional, not identity. Letting the world exist without commentary is a form of trust. Nothing needs her opinion today. Groove pop steady, okay, no comment made, no silence wait. Nothing needs her opinion, and she continues. The walk goes on, unreviewed. She remains tender, without response. Everything is present, nothing is loud. The balance holds without effort. She notices it suddenly, the absence of pull, no thought, shouting, no task, leaning forward, asking to be chosen. Her attention rests instead of scanning, instead of dividing, it stays whole. For once the cup, the leash, the steps all exist in the same layer. No hierarchy, no priority, just coexistence. Attention doesn't always need direction, sometimes it needs relief. Nothing competes for her attention now. Groove pop, steady grounded, no urgency stage, no focus force, nothing competes. She remembers how crowded her attention used to feel, pulled in multiple directions by things that weren't even present. This moment feels different, not sharp, not intense, just uncluttered. The sound underneath reflects the bass, steady and round keys, leaving intentional gaps. Drives it through to complexity, because simplicity is working. Clarity doesn't always arrive as insight. Nothing calls her louder than this groove pop, calm, consistent. No choice required, no thought expired. Nothing competes and she stays. The dog moved confidently, without scanning options, without hesitation, as if the present moment is sufficient data. She follows, not imitating, but recognizing that this way of moving is transferable. Her shoulders stay relaxed, her jaw unclenched, her mind unoccupied by defense. Open focus, stable field, bass cycles evenly, keys repeat with restraint. Drums sit deep in the pocket. No accent, no flourish, just flow. The groove holds attention without demanding it. She thinks briefly about how rare this feels, to have attention without tension. Nothing is being ignored, nothing is being avoided. Everything is simply at the same volume. She doesn't rush to capture it, she trusts it to be repeatable in its own time. Some presence is collective, not singular. When nothing competes, everything fits. Attention settles when it stops being treated as a resource to optimize. You don't sharpen focus, you clear space. Nothing competes for her attention now. Groove pop, steady aloud, no signal chase, no moment wasted. Nothing competes, and she remains whole. The balance holds, the steps continue, her attention stays undivided, without effort. She doesn't do. The quiet arrives uninvited. She notices it and lets it stay. There was a time she would have filled this space with checking, with thinking ahead, with preparing something useful. But today the quiet doesn't feel empty, it feels settled like a surface that doesn't need furniture to be usable. The cup remains steady in her hand, no movement wasted, no tension added, just holding as an action in itself. The dog slows slightly, matching the stillness, not confused, just responsive. Silence doesn't ask to be solved, it asks to be noticed. She doesn't rush to quiet away, groove pop, steady stage, no sound force, no thought endorsed. She doesn't rush to quiet out, she lets it surround. Her breathing adjusts without instruction, longer exhale, shorter thought. She realizes how often she treated quiet as a gap to be closed, instead of a state to step into. The rhythm underneath stays minimal, bass repeating a simple truth. Keys barely touching the edges, drums refusing to interrupt. Calm doesn't need decoration to work. She stays with the quiet a little longer. Groove pop, calm stronger. No need to speak, no peak to reach. She stays until the quiet feels normal. The dog looks around, then sits briefly, not waiting for command, just pausing because nothing is pulling. She mirrors that ease, not copying, just aligning. The world continues around them, but doesn't intrude. Traffic becomes texture, movement becomes background. Held space, gentle pulse, space stays circular. Keys breathe between chords, drums stay low and dry. No development, no climax, just duration. The groove doesn't interrupt it, never meets. She thinks about later and doesn't follow the thought. Later will arrive without rehearsal. The quiet feels less fragile now, less like something that might break if she moves wrong. It feels dependable, like something she can return to without effort. Some peace isn't found, it's allowed. You don't achieve quiet, you stop interrupting it. When nothing demands reaction, the nervous system remembers how to rest while awake. Quiet doesn't erase momentum, it refines it. She doesn't rush the quiet away. Groove pop, steady stays, no fear applied, no space denied. She doesn't rush the quiet out, she walks inside it. The pause dissolves naturally, movement resumes. The quiet remains inside her, unbroken. The dog leads, she trusts the light. No mouth opens, no destination enough, just a leash length of certainty and forward movement. The dog chooses the risen first, not fast, not slow. A priest that feels lifting like it's been practiced for years. She follows without resisting, not because she surrendered, because she present to lead every moment of her day. The cup stays balanced to small discipline, not stressful, just steady, like carrying mold through ordinary time. Trust can be practical, not emotional. Calm leads, she trusts the line. Groove drop steady, collide. No order that fun, no temper form. The calm leads, and she lets it happen, one step at a time. She notices how her mother likes it when she stops deciding everything. When she lets another rhythm set the tempo without threatening her or taunting me. The dog pauses to check the air, then moves again, confident, as if the present moment is an affirmation. The groove underneath supports that a consistent bass, a minimal chord bed, drums that refuse urgency, a long pocket of time to inhabit. Not controlling the route is not the same as being lost. The car leads, she stays with it. Grove Park accommodated, no fear of delay, no wicked display. The car leads in the day becomes simple. She remembers how often she carried invisible pressure to be the one who knows, to be the one who chooses, to be the one who explains. This walk offers a different role: participant, not manager, present, not responsible for everything. She feels her breathing deepen, now has technique as response to reduced responsibility. Leash link, distance, shared tempo, paced repeats a grounded phrase, keys drifted out with restraint. A soft bed holds the edges, drums stay dry and steady. This section can extend as long as the walk needs, no change required, only continuation. Two bodies moving, one rhythm holding. The dog turns slightly and she follows, not because she must, because it fits, because the light stays calm. She realizes that trust here is not blind, it's ordinary, built from repeated proof that the world doesn't collapse when she stops controlling. Some freedom is delegated, not abandoned. You don't lose yourself when you stop steering. You find the part of you that can simply move without defense. The dove doesn't know the future and still walks. She doesn't know everything either and still follows. The dove leads, she trusts the pace. Groove pop steady in place, no panic, said no regret. The dog leads and she remains home. The line stays light, the steps stay even. The day keeps going without needing a reason. It is a do 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 do. It isn't happiness and it isn't performance. It's just a soft release that happens without reason. She notices a face shift, a small lift at the edge of it. Not toward anyone, not for anything, just a change in the air inside her. The cup is steady in her hand, the warmth doesn't demand attention, it simply exists, like a small agreement between her body and the day. The dog walks ahead, confident in the simplest plan. Forward then forward again, as if that's enough. She doesn't chase the feeling, she lets it pass through. She smiles at nothing in particular. Groove pop steady, regular, no reason name, no story claim. She smiles and the moment stays simple and clear. She remembers how often she used to search for justification. If she felt okay, she would ask why, as if okay required a cause. Today she doesn't interrogate it, she lets okay be okay without turning it into a project, without turning it into proof steps honester. Some calm arise when you stop asking it to explain itself. She smiles and doesn't hold it tight. Groove pop calm light, no fear it will fade. No need to persuade. She smiles at us and keeps moving through the day. The dog glances back once, not worried, just checking proximity, then returns to the forward line. Satisfied, she notices the small gesture, how it lands like trust, not dramatic, not emotional, just a simple confirmation. The world around them continues unaware, unimpressed, which makes the moment cleaner, less staged. Soft pocket of time, even pace, space repeats a warm figure, keys breathing wide intervals, drums stay restrained and dry. No build, no drop, just a long middle that can stretch as long as needed. The smile fades and nothing is lost. She thinks about what later might contain, but it doesn't pull her out of now. Later can't wait, without punishment, without consequence. She realizes her shoulders are low, her jaw unclenched, her mind not reaching for edges, just occupying the center. Some joy is in excitement, its absence of strain. It doesn't need a trigger, it doesn't need an audience. It is a small internal weather pattern passing through. If she tried to keep it, it would tighten, so she lets it go, and that becomes the reason it feels real. She smiles at nothing and keeps her pace. Groove pop steady, giving space. No reason asked, no feeling grasped. She smiles and lets the day remain unforced. The street continues, the dog continues. She continues, and the quiet smile leaves no evidence except ease. There is no signal, no alert, just motion allowed to continue. She notices the absence first, no reminder, no vibration, no voice asking her to hurry. The absence feels deliberate, even if it isn't, like the day made space without announcing it. Her steps land evenly, not measured, just practiced. The body remembers what the mind doesn't supervise. The dog matches her rhythm, not trained, just aligned. Two movements agreeing without discussion. Urgency is optional today. Nothing urgent pulls her forward. Groove pop steady, order, no reason to rush, no fear to hush. Nothing paused, and she moves anyway. She passes familiar distance without naming it. Landmarks exist, but they don't demand recognition. The sound underneath remains unchanged. It doesn't anticipate, it doesn't resolve, it stays like something reliable. Her breathing deepens, not as technique, as response to the lack of pressure. Time behaves differently when it isn't pushed. Nothing urgent calls her name. Groove pop calm, the same. No finish line, no warning sign. Nothing urgent. expectations that weren't hers. This walk releases that weight without ceremony, just by continuing without adding anything. The dog pauses briefly, then resumes, confident the path remains even without instruction. Unhurried motion, stable ground, bass repeats evenly, keys hover gently. No escalation, no release, just duration. The groove accepts time as it is. She feels capable, not energized, not motivated, just able. That ability feels dependable, more than excitement ever did. Nothing urgent arrived and nothing broke because of it. Some days don't need momentum, they need permission. Permission to exist without acceleration, without payoff. Moving without urgency isn't slow, it's sustainable. Nothing urgent pulls her ahead. Groove pop steady instead. No pressure applied, no moment denied. Nothing urgent and she keeps going. The walk continues. Unclaimed, unrushed, and complete. She walks while the world stays manageable. The day doesn't rush her, it adjusts, as if it knows she will arrive anyway. She steps forward, not with intention, but with familiarity. The ground feels known, even when she isn't thinking about it. The cup stays warm in her hand, not as comfort, as routine. Something steady enough to anchor the moment. The dog moves slightly ahead, confident, unconcerned with destination, trusting the line of the walk more than the reason for it. Nothing is being chased, nothing is being avoided. She walks while the world stays manageable. Groove pop steady, tangible. No pressure in her pace, no demand on her face. She walks and the day agrees to stay reasonable. People pass in fragments, glances without weight. She notices them, then lets them go. They don't follow her home. Her shoulders remain low because nothing is asking her to prepare to respond, to prove presence. The rhythm underneath stays calm. It doesn't decorate the moment, it supports it like a surface that doesn't tilt. Stability doesn't need attention or function. She keeps moving without negotiating time. Groove pop calm in line, no urgency form, no calm perform. She walks and the moment holds without asking more. She thinks briefly about things, waiting later, not with dread, just acknowledgement. The thought passes because now isn't asking for it, now only asks to be occupied fully. The dog slows slightly, checks the air, then continues as if confirming this pace works. Even steps, even breath, bass repeats patiently, keys leave open space. Nothing builds, nothing drops, just continuation. The walk becomes rhythm, not task. She realizes how rare this feels to move without narration, without internal commentary, tracking progress. Nothing here needs improvement, nothing needs to be remembered. This is not a highlight, it's a base layer. Her body recognizes it and relaxes further, as if saying, this is allowed. Some calm comes from repetition, not novelty. From trusting that ordinary movement can carry a day without collapsing it. You don't have to escape to feel free. Sometimes you just walk at a pace that doesn't argue. She walks while the day stays intact. Groove pop steady, exact. No future pull, no past recall. She walks and lets the present remain sufficient. The street continues, the dog continues, the street continues. Nothing interrupts, and that's enough. I finished the day without having achieved anything. Groove ready, there's no summary, no list to check. The day closes quietly without asking what it produced. I look back out of habit, trying to locate progress, trying to name an outcome. Nothing presents itself, no clear accomplishment, no moment that stands apart from the rest. At first that absence feels heavy, like a mistake, like something was missed or wasted. But my body doesn't share that judgment. It releases tension, as if it recognizes completion without evidence. Not every day leaves a mark, some leave space. I finished the day without having achieved anything. Groove pop steady, unmeasuring, no goal reached, no target met. I finished the day empty-handed and feel no regret. There were movements, conversations, pauses. None of them turned into milestones. They didn't build toward anything, they simply occurred. I notice how rarely I allow that to be enough. How often I insist that time just left itself. The sound underneath stays gentle, it doesn't celebrate, it doesn't mourn, it holds the end of the day without commentary. My breathing slows, not from relief, from acceptance. Completion doesn't require proof to be real. I end the day without a result. Groove pop calm, uninsulted, no success frame, no failure named. I end the day as I am and let that stand. Oh, I think about how often I carried unfinished days like debts. How much energy went into apologizing to myself for not doing more. This time feels different. The lack of achievement doesn't accuse me. It feels neutral, almost kind, like time acknowledging that existence happened. I don't feel behind, I don't feel ahead, I feel released from measurement. Uncounted hours, soft landing, bass cycles steadily, keys rest between phrases. No tally, no score, just closure. The groove holds the end without evaluation. and judge. The night arrives not as reward, not as consequence, just as continuation in a different register. I don't rehearse tomorrow, I don't rewrite today. I let the absence of achievement stay unfilled long enough to stop feeling like clay. The day ends without explanation and nothing asks for one. Some rest comes from finishing without conclusion. You don't have to earn the right to stop. Time doesn't require productivity to pass, it only requires presence. A day can be complete without being productive, whole without being impressive. You don't fail a day by living it quietly. I finish the day without proof or claim. Groove pop steady unnamed. No outcome shown, no value thrown. I finish the day as it came, and that is enough. I rest without accounting. The day closes unrecorded. I remain intact and ready to let the next one begin. The same